this is the key, and this is one of the things I think I mentioned in that podcast was it's very easy to discover whether or not this is the goal. You just have to track it. You have to track the generations,
Yeah.
and what I've been obsessively looking for are movements that are designed to get to the fourth generation. Once you have a movement like that, what happens is there's something inside the blueprint you're using itself that has demonstrated its ability to put a seed in the fruit. Until you get
Yeah.
to the fourth generation, you really don't know. You don't know if there's a systemic problem in the blueprint itself. And so it's really important to be very hard and hammer on that blueprint because what's likely happening is you're still inadvertently elevating consumption over multiplication. And
Yeah.
the only way to know if you're not doing that is to have these disciple making lines, like to actually like map it out the way you guys have done, and then what you're advocating for these churches to do. So, talk to me a little bit about that process. What was it that you have discovered helps make 15 years of this of really and tracking it and seeing what happened between the beginning of this and 2018 when you saw this movement penetrate to the fifth generation. What were some of the key insights that you guys discovered that helped get to that place?
Yeah. Well, it starts with a commitment to exclusive invitations, not
Okay.
general invitations. Like Jesus didn't go to the Sermon on the Mount and say, "Hey, by the way, once this is over, we're going to have a line down front, and if anybody's interested in more of a deep dive." Yeah, it was. He prayed overnight at least. I bet he prayed a lot longer than that, and then he exclusively invited people into a very focused mission. And it was an engaged mission. I will make you fishers of men. Like there was a definition on the front end of this invitation. And so, exclusive invitation, I would say it's a very high bar associated with training and equipping that would render them into becoming people worth following. That's a kind of a character. Fruit of the Spirit is how we define uh, Christ like character. Well, Bible does too. So I
Yeah.
try to follow that as much as I can. But it also is a high bar of engagement. And if you're not engaging from the front end, like you have to be serving somewhere to get into our initial 6 month deal. You have to be leading something to get into our 9 month leaders made thing
Okay.
because
Yeah.
you can't equip to that what you're not doing. Like you
Yes.
have to be thrown into the fire to do it. And so
Mm.
exclusive invitation, high bar, mission focused, um, those were the critical elements, and then just
Okay.
real clarity on what is it we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
We called it an information huddle. You don't sign up for the group, you sign up for an information huddle. You actually have to read a prerequisite. I know I'm listing off a lot of things really quickly, and this might sound like this guy is just obtuse. No, just trying to be
Yeah.
efficient
It's
with
helpful. Yes.
communicating these things, but we have found that this really works. If you like for followers made is our 6 month thing. You want to be considered for this, go and read a book called Not a Fan by Kyle Ottoman. It's a great book, helping people move from fan to follower by highlighting the way Jesus invited, which is a take up your cross and follow me type of invitation. Not, hey, I'll put, I'll put cream in your coffee and watch your kid while you get discipled. There's an element of sacrifice
Well, you're
involved in
hinting,
all of that.
yeah, you're hinting there about what I'd like to drill into, and that is a natural tension between the exclusive invitation and the inclusive worship service. And I think this is the collision that a lot of churches cannot figure out. Like, wow, I was blown away. So for people to understand the way that the early church did this was when you met somebody and we started to build a relationship with them and they became curious about the faith. Part of what you would then do is invite them into if they want to give their life to Christ, that that you were in a 1 to 3 year disciple making
Yeah.
relationship with a sponsor who was and there was multiple scrutinies. And so it went from like relationship first to discipleship, and joining the church was at the very tail end of that 1 to 3 year process after it was demonstrated that your habits have been transformed, that you truly did believe. That's you'd be baptized and invite you to
And
the
then you're
church.
baptized.
Yeah, yeah, you're baptized in the back end, which I was shocked 'cause obviously that wasn't what happened in the beginning of Acts, but
Right.
one of the things that they discovered was that especially because of the persecution, it was just very difficult to but one of the things that happened because they reversed the order was they really eliminated the sort of consumer problem that we have today. And so our strategy is the opposite. You're fully a part of the church. You get all the benefits of being a part of the church from day one. Here's cream in your coffee. We'll take care of your kids. And so
Yeah.
you just constantly are winning people through consumption or through figuring out ways to sort of delight them and
Mm,
surprise them by
yeah.
doing things for them. And what you win people with, you win people to. And so it's a little bit of a bait and switch to all of a sudden, come around later and say, hey, there's this very really high bar thing called discipleship. Sorry to have to hit you over the head with this thing. I know it seems completely different than everything you've experienced up till now in the church. Like, how have you worked through this? Because I completely agree, but people really, really bristle at the exclusive
Yeah.
invitation because of the way our churches are structured. How have you thought through, or how, as you've worked with pastors who have wrestled through this, how do you think about that piece?
Well, I mean, leadership is the art of picking which problems you want to deal with, right? And so none of these is a problem free
Right.
solution. I picked up, I've got a little book that we're writing, Breaking the Addiction, which is about how to try to change the culture from purely consumeristic addition to a church that actually leverages these kind of or easy access, inclusive experiences like weekend worship to funnel into discipleship tracks that
Yeah.
render missionaries where they live, work, learn, and play without blowing the church up.
Yeah.
And so like the systemic issue that we talk about here is no church can serve two masters. Addition must serve multiplication, or multiplication will starve
That's right.
under addition.
Yes.
Uh, Say it again. No church can serve two masters. Of course, we're riffing off Jesus' thing on money and God here, but no church can serve two masters. Addition must serve multiplication, or multiplication will starve under addition. There's people that would say you need to choose. I would say that that will be your most if fast, way to choose whatever problems you want, but you're probably going to deal with a lot of your current constituency signing out because, like as you said, what they signed on for, you have to do that to keep them.
That's right.
And so I talk about what we did at Westside that was really formalized well, I think, by Will Mancini, is the funnel fusion idea. We had a version of that was going. I basically saw people in worship in or in our engagement in our assimilation process in three tiers. They're either coming to worship, or they've taken another step and joining a group, or if they've taken another step and they've started to volunteer. And the further people would go into that assimilation track, a lot of churches, by the way, and you know this, call that discipleship.
Yeah.
It's not.
Right. No.
It's assimilation. It's not bad. I don't
Right.
put a zero sticker on there. I put it's got to serve a greater
Right.
purpose, and I'm all in. The further they move down that demonstrated initiative track, the more I wanted as a disciple maker to invest in those people in upper level disciple making investment in order to help them optimize character and calling, help them become fully alive in Christ, John 10:10. And I found that did a couple of things. One, it created a huge demand in our areas of volunteer service
Mm.
because people recognize if I volunteer there, I have a chance of getting discipled.